Middle school athletes are children ranging between the ages of 11 to 14 years old. Various students engage in sports offered at their school. Each sport can be divided into females or males only. It just depends on the student's school or offerings locally in the community. Depending on the size of the school, some teams are even further broken down into varsity and junior varsity levels. This can be based off of the student's age, performance level, experience, grades, or other factors depending on the school's eligibility policy. During this time is when competition starts to get really intense for this age group, as some of them travel with their teams to compete at local, state, and national levels. Also, during this time frame, many students experience puberty. Therefore, their bodies are growing and need to intake more calories and engage in healthier diets to benefit their performance.
A male middle school athlete should consume around 2,500 kcals per day, and a female middle school athlete should consume around 2,200 kcals per day. As far as macronutrients go, middle school athletes should consume 45 to 65% of their kcals from carbohydrates, 10 to 30% of kcals from protein, and 25 to 35% of kcals from fats. For young athletes, it is important that they are getting enough vitamins and minerals, specifically calcium, vitamin D, and iron. These athletes should take in around 1,300 milligrams of calcium because this helps with bone health and muscular contraction. They should also intake 600 IU per day of vitamin D, and this will help their calcium absorption. These athletes should intake around 8 milligrams of iron per day in order to avoid deficiencies. Iron will help the delivery of oxygen to the tissues and organs, which in athletes this is important for performance. It is best that middle school athletes get their vitamins and minerals from a well-balanced diet, but if they are not, they may supplement with the children's daily multivitamin.
The good times of middle school. You might take it for granted, but you have mostly meals provided for you, and that means breakfast, lunch, and dinner for most families. Now, you need to remember that you have more influence on your meals than you think, but don't be afraid to talk to your parents about changing the diet for meals. You have more influence than you know, and a little bit can go a long way to changing and helping your whole family eat better.
In general, middle school athletes should follow the My Plate Food Guide for recommendations on dietary intake. An exception to this is that highly active athletes may require more energy intake than is recommended. It is important that the athlete consumes enough calories to fuel them throughout the duration of the exercise bout. Dietary intake before, during, and after exercise is specific to the type of exercise being performed. For example, carb loading is a strategy used by endurance athletes in particular to build up an excess of glycogen in the muscles and liver so that these stores can be used as fuel during their event. A heavy meal consisting of generous amounts of carbohydrates and moderate amounts of protein and fat can be eaten 4 to 5 hours before a workout. This will provide the athlete with all the necessary macronutrients and fuel for their workout. 2 to 3 hours before the event, a light meal containing carbohydrates and protein, but little to no fat or fiber, should be eaten. Fat and fiber inhibit digestion and should not be eaten close to game time.
Now, middle school is one of the last periods where teens can do just about anything with a seemingly unlimited amount of energy. Because of this, snacking should not be too much of a problem. I'd recommend trying to actively pursue healthy snacks, if possible, such as a Cliff Bar, which is my favorite, or some kind of fruit or trail mix. For a normal middle school athlete, the best time to snack would be before practice and possibly sometime during school. A small snack before or after lunch is sometimes all you need to make it through the day and do everything to the best of your ability.
During exercise, water and possibly sports drinks should be the bulk of what a middle school athlete consumes. A light snack can also be eaten if needed. This snack should be almost solely carbohydrates and not weigh down the athlete when they get back in the game. After a game, the athlete's stored glycogen has been mostly depleted. This means that carbohydrate intake is important in a post-game snack or meal. Protein is also important to include because muscle has been broken down and needs to rebuild itself. The post-workout snack or meal should be eaten as soon as possible and plays an important role in preventing soreness and injury. Fluids should be consumed leading up to, during, and after exercise. Athletes can lose a lot of fluids, depending on the intensity of the exercise and the environment it is done in. An athlete should make sure they are properly hydrated before they start exercising to maximize performance and minimize risk of dehydration and heat-related problems. Middle school athletes should follow the general recommendations given by the American College of Sports Medicine and consume 16 to 20 ounces within the 2-hour period leading up to exercise, 4 to 8 ounces every 15 to 20 minutes during exercise, and 24 ounces for every pound of weight lost after exercise. Sports drinks are not usually necessary, but can be beneficial in replenishing electrolytes like sodium that are sweat out during exercise.
Now, there aren't many conditions that affect middle school athletes, but one of them is type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is a growing problem in the US, and there is a growing trend where the amount of middle school students with pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes has been increasing drastically, and middle school athletes are no exception. So although you're staying active, always be careful about your diet and what you're eating. As a last word of advice, I urge all middle school athletes to keep working hard and getting better at the sport you love, no matter what anyone tells you. Whether you're a star athlete on your middle school team or you got cut from tryouts, never give up. This is a time period where, as an athlete, pure, raw talent and athleticism shines. But you'll see as you get older, the athletes who spent hours focusing on skill and technique and not relying solely on their athleticism are the ones who shine through. Also, don't get discouraged if you're not currently the biggest or strongest in your grade. You never know what might happen. This is also a time where you're going to be growing a lot, and the people that might have been looking down at you, you might be looking down on them in a couple years. Work on your craft, set yourself goals, and before you know it, you might see yourself as a D1 athlete.